I'm going to do some prayers while I wait for people to join. Okay, good morning, good morning. Is everyone alive and awake? Okay. Someone said in the chat that they're barely alive and awake. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Just make sure it doesn't go black for me. Just tell me. Good. Okay. So for those of you who did the extra credit session last night, I applaud. It was a marathon. I wasn't actually expecting it to go on that long. And if that was a little bit too much, that's okay too. It's good to discover your limits. And if you're feeling a little bit, how to say, sort of crispy this morning, like slightly overcooked, that may be because you pushed a little bit too hard yesterday. And if the thought of like having to do one more meditation makes you break out into cold sweats a little bit, then maybe because you pushed it a little bit too hard in the last session. So just get to know yourself so that you're doing enough practice that your mind wants to come back to the cushion. So if that's 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes. If it's 10, 10. If it's 20, 20. And part of what we've done in this retreat is short sessions with breaks in between. And you've seen how over a few days, even though the sessions we're doing are very short, I mean, almost everyone who's been actively involved in the course has said that they've had profound new insights in their meditative practice. And we have done precisely 1 hour-long session in 4 days. Think about this carefully. This means that with a little bit of effort, doing 5, 10, 20-minute sessions during your ordinary life, and then trying to maintain the condition in between, you could be having these experiences on your own. I mean, that's really inspiring. Okay. It definitely helps to have a community with you. You probably remember one of the things that Buddha mentioned for the success in your spiritual life is to have friends and comrades and camaraderie, mentorship, etc. And to spend time with people who know more about the practice and to talk with them and so on and so forth. That helps. Also, ethics. Some of you have been maintaining vows. Some of you have been cutting off distractions. So all of these things are adding to it, of course. But still, the length of the sessions has been relatively short. So the first few sessions today, I'm thinking we're going to try to combine the 6 sense spheres, which is relatively straightforward to explain, not so easy to do. So I explained this previously in the Kinhin document, the walking meditation document, very briefly. What I recommend is, generally speaking, to work from the easiest thing to do that makes your mind the most calm and work towards more difficult things that dominate your experience. So obviously, if you're going to walk, especially in real life, you need to be aware of the tactile field. You need to know what your body is doing, and you need to be seeing. If you're not doing those 2 things in real life, it's going to be quite difficult to know where you're going and what you're doing, right? So the first 2 that we're going to try to combine today will be these 2. Then once those 2 are stable, then you can add, or relatively stable, then you can add the auditory field. And what that means is that you can then, for example, be fully bodily aware, be fully visually aware, and then you could listen, for example, or at least hear fully, because the auditory sphere is open, someone having a conversation with you, right? So with these three, you've gotten very, very close, just with these three alone, to being able to transform a huge amount of your activity, whether you're sitting, standing, walking. If you can activate these three or one of these three at least, then you're on your way to transforming a huge number of your activities. Now, especially if we're doing standing and in particular walking meditation with these with the sense gates open, I put the lowest priority on the olfactory and gustatory fields, smell and taste, because relatively speaking, they are extremely important if you want to do analytic meditation, and they're extremely important if you want to complete the process of opening all the gates. But I think, in terms of spiritual importance, relatively speaking, they have less impact for most people, probably, than tactile, which makes the mind very calm, and visual and auditory, which, when you add them to tactile, seem to, for most people, sort of they sort of feel like most of their being has already been covered. So I don't want to downplay these two, because it's extremely important to become aware of all aspects of your being. But in terms of order of importance, I think more of your mental bandwidth is spent on your body, your vision, and your sound than your taste and your smell. And since that's where most of your bandwidth is, let's say 9 out of 10 of your bandwidth, adding that extra 10, adding that extra 1 point is important. But I think it's more important, if you're having bandwidth issues, to focus on the things that make up most of your being most of the time. Finally, I would then say, doing it slightly out of order, once again, if you have a little more bandwidth left over, it's probably worth it to then go straight to consciousness. So if you don't have room for, all 5 external senses, still worthwhile to bring consciousness in, so that you're maintaining maybe tactile and visual and consciousness, or you're maintaining tactile, visual, auditory, and consciousness. You see? So consciousness is so important in terms of your development that I think, no matter what other points you're maintaining, you should try to maintain consciousness. That being said, again, we've done the first, at least tactile, in the order that we've done it for a reason. And once again, if you don't have visual, it's going to be very hard to interact with the rest of your life. And if you don't have auditory, it's going to be hard to have conversations and so forth with other people. So those 3 are pretty essential. But then from there, I think the next most essential gate to have open in order to do practice is consciousness, not smell and taste. So once again, in terms of priority, probably your 3 dominant senses, then consciousness, and then smell and taste. But again, you can play with it. There's no hard and fast rule. And today we're going to be doing all of them. So when all 6 fields are stable, you have the cognitive tools to do very deep meditation during almost any activity whatsoever. So when you're eating and drinking, you can change over and put more bandwidth into opening smell and taste, for example. So therefore, when you're eating and drinking, maybe you're having a conversation with somebody, you open smell and taste and auditory. And now you're having a conversation, you're drinking your tea, but you're opening the sense gates and making them fully open, instead of zooming in on taste and all this, right? On individual tastes, you're opening the gates when it's relevant. And then, like Akala, like Fudo Myo, the mind is constantly staying in a concentrated state, in the center of reality, with reality occurring around it. You can think about it like a tree in a storm. right? The tree is there, and the center of the tree stands unmoving, even with the wind blowing and the branches and everything going, but the trunk of the tree stands unmoving. And that's like your mind in the middle of even a terrible hurricane. And even with all the other mental factors moving, like the branches and the leaves, that your sort of central mind, let's say, is unmoving. Okay. So let's get the mind set up for the day, and then we'll be off to have breakfast, where you will do your own uh, opening gustatory and smell gate and all this. So someone who does internal martial arts is asking if that's Zhongding, and honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, it could be an aspect of Zhongding that your mind can maintain. Uh, Basically, that your mind can't be moved off of its activity. And that sounds like central equilibrium to me, but no one's ever given me that instruction specifically, so I don't want to say for sure. All right. So let's assume a seated position. Okay. So we're going to do a brief body scan, and then we'll jump into a quick opening of each of the senses. And then we'll spend just a little bit of extra time on consciousness. So get the mind into the feet, both feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, upper thighs, hip joints, get your mind into the front of the pelvis, the back of the pelvis, including the buttocks, find the tailbone, anus, perineum, sexual organs, the waist belt, diaphragm belt, chest belt, left shoulder, left bicep, elbow, forearm, wrist, palm and back of hand, and just stretch to all the fingers. Right shoulder, right bicep, wrist, palm and back of hand. Stretch into the fingers. Bottom third of your neck. Middle third of your neck. And the upper third of your neck. The joint. The left, back side, and right of your scalp. Your forehead. Eyebrows. Left cheek. Right cheek. Upper lip. Chin. Now just let your awareness fill the rest of your face, including the tactile sensations for each sensory organ. Just sort of generally fill all that space. And fill the top of the scalp until you feel the most sensitive point. Stretch the awareness down to the fingertips. Stretch the awareness again to the toe tips and the heels. Maintain the 5 points. Everything to the front, back, left, right, up, down. Release and hold the whole body. Without losing the body, open the eyes. You'll notice that with the eyes open, you lose a little bit of bandwidth on the body. That's fine. But keep the body sense open despite having less bandwidth. Despite being able to feel less of the body, keep the awareness spread through the whole body. Now with the eyes and the body, everything to the front, left, right, up, down. Now sit with the eyes open and the body open. Now without losing the body and the eyes, allow some of your mental bandwidth to come to the ears. Now with the body, eyes and ears, everything to the right, left, front, back, up, down. You can either hold as many points as you can or release into the sphere of 3 awarenesses. Without losing any of the 3, quickly cycle through each one of the 3. Just check the body that it's open. Check the visual that it's open. Check the sound that it's open, especially in areas where you're not hearing anything. Make sure that the auditory sense is still fully open in 360 degrees. And then rest once again in all 3 awarenesses. Now, if you can, once again, bandwidth will be an issue. But if you can, then bring in the sense of smell. Everything to the front with 4 senses. everything to the left, everything behind, everything to the right, everything above, everything below. Either hold as many points as you can, 4 points, 6 points, or release into the sphere of awareness fully open with 4 senses. Now bring your awareness to taste without losing the other 4. Once again, with all 5 senses, everything to the front, left, back, right, up, down. You can hold 4 points, 6 points, or simply abide in all 5 senses being open. Take a moment to cycle through the senses without losing the other 4. Open the body just by opening the whole sphere. Open vision just by opening the whole sphere. Open sound by opening the whole sphere. Open smell by opening the whole sphere. Open taste by opening the whole sphere. And hold all 5. Now there's definitely no bandwidth left whatsoever. However, bring in the awareness of your mind. Just become aware of the flow of thoughts occurring within the open 5 senses, within, below, suffusing throughout. Just become aware that there's a flow of thoughts or images or memories. Just make it so that, as with last night's last session, the mind is prepared to become aware of whatever appears in the mind without trying to make anything in particular appear in the mind. And if you lose a lot of bandwidth with the other 5 senses, that's okay. Do your best. Okay. So during the break, I have it scheduled, if you're in my time zone, for breakfast, maybe a shower, a little bit of light exercise. At this point in the retreat, do your best, even during the break, without mm, without forcing yourself too hard, without creating stress. Try to gently keep at least one of the gates open at all times. So between here and the next session, keep building on the awareness that we built up in this session, and we're going to get pretty deep by the end of the day. And we're going to be doing mostly mental stuff today, because rumination is about mental objects. So when we transition over to mental objects, that'll be sort of like meditating on the mind itself. Quite a few of those are formless objects. When you try to grasp the mind, it's just this formless awareness of itself, right? As you probably experienced last night. If you do certain prayers that generate a feeling and you focus on the feeling, those feelings also are these formless mental phenomenon. So some of the objects that we're going to be having in concentration today will be like that. So it's important, because these objects are more subtle, that your mind be more subtle. If your mind is running around and crazy, it'll be too difficult, I think. So do your best during all the breaks today to try to maintain at least one sense gate. Don't do as much study today. If you need to take naps, but the whole vibe of the day should be sort of a relatively relaxed effort to maintain and sort of enjoy at least one of the gates being open at all times. Okay? Have a lovely breakfast, and I'll see you at 8 a.m. London time.